الحمد لله الحمد لله. شكرا ليك يا شباب على وقتك معنا. we're really excited for this webinar to hear from you as head of product at Lumify. How can people grow in product from being an IC أو individual contributor أو شخص بذاته إلى إنه يبقى manager, people manager, not just managing a product but managing people and products as well. We're really excited to hear from you how to become a product leader. What's the difference? معانا النهارده ناس كتير. Feel free whenever بقى يعني you lead the floor whenever you want to take questions. People will be able to unmute and also لو حد حابب يبعت أي حاجة في الشات احنا موجودين. انترو سريعة، احنا برودكت بلس بنعمل ايه؟ بنساعد اي حد شغال في برودكت مانجمنت ان هو يكبر، او اي حد نفسه يتعلم عن برودكت مانجمنت ويخش المجال ان هو يخش المجال. بنعمل كده عن طريق حاجات كتير جدا. عندنا انيوال سامت، عندنا الويبينارز، عندنا ماستر كلاسز، عندنا دينرز فور ليدرز اونلي. عندنا حاجات كتير قوي بنقدر نعملها. You can follow us on social media بمختلف انواعها برودكت بلس. عندنا برضو our own WhatsApp group. You can join through LinkedIn. You will find the link. وبس بالتوفيق النهارده ان شاء الله، ونحب نشكرك يا شهاب على وقتك معنا، ومتحمسين ان احنا نسمع منك اكتر باذن الله.
الله يسلمك حبيبي أحمد، وسعدت صراحة يعني بفرصة يعني تكلم والتعرف عليكم جميعا، يعني نتكلم وندردش مع بعض على الرحلة الطويلة والرحلة مش صعبة بس الشاقة، واللي هي transitioning للبرودكت ليدرشيب. طبعا حشير أنا الشاشة وحنتكلم سريعا. طبعا ما تعتبروش الموضوع more of like lecture وكده. Feel free to unmute yourself في أي لحظة in case you guys have any questions or anything. اللي حنغطيه اليوم هو المين ديفرنس ما بين الاي سي والليدرشيب رول، being basically an individual contributor versus being in a people manager position. حنغطي كذلك الcore competencies of both, the core competencies of being a product manager versus the core competencies of being a head of product, VP of product, chief product officer, group product manager, etc. حنتكلم شوية على وين النقطة والخلل اللي الناس يقعوا فيه واللي يخليهم يعني صعب انه يصلوا للليدرشيب رول. في تركيات بسيطة، في اخطاء بسيطة عادة يعني يقعوا فيها البرودكت مانجرز والبرودكت فولكس، تخليهم انما ما يعني ينتقلوش للنقطة الثانية في الكارير تبعهم، الا وهي الليدرشيب رول. حنتكلم على tips وتريكس internally in your company, externally in case you are يعني pursuing external opportunities on how you can actually leverage the opportunities out there and yani turn to be head of product. So allow me guys to share my screen. 1 second. Cool. طيب can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
ممتاز، حلوين. طيب أولا your fellow Libyan. أنا شهاب from Libya, currently head of product with Lumify. I work ما بين مسقط، منامة، رياض as well as Istanbul, so I travel a lot. Previously I was a senior product manager with companies in Saudi such as قوافل ومرسول، قبلها في ماليزيا ميريكا نيمبوس كلاود، وفي سنغافورة اللي هو عندنا اسكولابس. حاليا وسابقا اشتغلت product advisor with multiple companies including قيوم OS, شورى، فاتورة، نمو، eDentist and a lot of companies. I also do product instructory as well as mentorship. اشتغلت مع The Knowledge Academy, Udacity, علو في السعودية as well as Career Foundry, teaching basically product boot camps. And I founded 2 small startups, mini startups, nothing big. And unfortunately, and here is the irony, I'm a product guy, بس الستارتبس الاثنين اللي أنا بنيتهم they are not product based startups. So I built VisionX, which is consultancy plus branding as well as product OS, which is يعني a product methodology or product operations system made for SaaS companies. So we built some sort of like methodology. If you guys are interested, we can talk about it a lot, inshallah, in future sessions. But it's more of like methodology targeting SaaS companies built on Fibri, Notion, ClickUp, etc. to make sure that we streamline the product workflow. Cool. So let's talk about product leadership. Firstly, في problem أو في شيء نحن لازم نفهمه في الاندستري هذه. في الاندستري head of product في Lumify might equal VP of product في ميريكا might equal group product manager في Escolabs. إلى حد الآن رغم أن إدارة المنتجات والبرودكت مانجمنت بصفة عامة لها تقريبا 15 سنة في السوق. started in Silicon Valley، بعدها ب5 سنين انتقلت إلى أوروبا، ومؤخرا في المنطقة العربية في آخر 6 سنين، إلا أن مازال الشركات they struggle in finding the definition of product management. تمام. So some people might say head of product is basically a leadership role. Other companies might define the head of product as functional individual contributor role. All right. So الموضوع مختلف. الموضوع هنا أنت كproduct manager when it comes to transitioning, when it comes to basically, let's say, understanding the market, understanding where other people basically work, you need to do your due diligence. All right. Are you doing actually being, or are you actually being a head of product, or are you actually basically doing senior product management best with the title of head of product? You get me? So الفكرة هنا أن industry there is no what we call shared definition. There is ideal ladder or السلم المثالي للوظيفة أو لوظيفة البرودكت مانجمنت in general، ولكن again startups الcompanies enterprises they struggle. وصولنا في او اللخبطه اللي صايره في الاندستري سبيسيفيكلي الان في المنطقه العربيه واصله الى درجه ان الناس they cannot now differentiate ما بين البرودكت اونر والبرودكت مانجر. في ناس they think they are the same، في ناس they think they are different. And again there is no right or wrong answer. انا ممكن I believe in product owners similar to product manager, they provide the same value. Other companies and other people and other professionals might think that product owner is different from product manager. فالفكره اللي انا حابب اني اوصلها ان there is no shared names or defined definition across the industry الآن. الموضوع كله يتوقف على your due diligence، يتوقف على حجم الشركة، ويتوقف على الكونتكست of الشركة اللي انت حتدخلها او الشركة اللي انت شغال فيها في الوقت الحالي. ف the key for you to succeed in this industry is to be adaptable. All right, to be adaptable, to be quick, and to do your due diligence to understand where you work at and what kind of responsibilities. Now, how do we differentiate? Now we say, okay, yes, a senior product manager في Lumify might equate a head of product, for example, in Merck or whatever, So how do you differentiate? You differentiate عن طريق core responsibilities or core competencies or core skills of a specific role. That's why you need to do your due diligence. Now, let's talk about the differences. Now, being a PM versus being a product leader. Again, هنا أتكلم على head director VP level. Which is basically again مثل ما قلنا في السلايد الماضية sometimes the name would be different. أولا, what is the focus of yours as a product manager or as an individual contributor? The focus is to just build the product, all right? The key success criteria of yours is the tangible product that you build, all right? However, the key for yours as a product leader would definitely be building the organization, product organization. You would hear basically take decisions like how do you want to frame the product line under you in terms of responsibilities, in terms of squads. How do you want to shape the squads under you? How do you want to build the processes under those squads? What kind of product ops model do you want to follow? So the focus يختلف. صح, you will still touch upon the products of yours, بس الفوكس تبعك is on shaping how people operate أكتر من إن أنت you're shaping the product. Of course, you will contribute to the product. Of course, you have a huge say in the product, بس you need to empower people. ومحتاجكم إنكم تحفظوا معي الشيء هذا تركزوا فيه لأن we will build the rest of the conversation عليه. Your goal is to empower people under you to do the actual work while you orchestrate the people. All right. So different set of people. As a product manager, you do the orchestration. So you orchestrate designers, you orchestrate QA, you orchestrate engineers to deliver a product. All right. Now, as a head, as a director, as a VP, you orchestrate people to focus, all right, to focus on understanding the problem, building the solution, and then they would actually orchestrate their functional employees to deliver the product. All right. So you orchestrate product managers to focus on the problems, to do actual product management, all right, so they can orchestrate the functional people under them, aka developers, QA, designers, وما إلى ذلك. So your focus is على البيبل أكثر من إنك أنت you're focusing على البرودكت. مرينا نحن كلنا من قبل بتجارب يعني متواضعة أو سيئة مع VPs of product or heads of product. Mainly هم heads of product اللي they just focus on reviewing your PRD and making sure they are with you في refinements وفي planning ومعاكم في مرحلة discovery معاكم في user research sessions etc. But that's not product management, all right? Actual product management is you empowering people and orchestrating them, being a product leader. Now, in terms of scope, again, as a product manager, your scope is feature or a product line or a specific problem space. It could be مثلا يعني Shehab is a product manager of the marketplace at a specific company, or Shehab is owning a specific product line, or it could be Shehab owning a specific sort of like value stream. Maybe مثلا Shehab is owning the retention, or Shehab is owning the growth, or Shehab is owning the acquisition. You know, it depends. You're just at the end of the game, a product manager owning a product line, something with a squad, with a functional squad, and building towards that problem. بينما your scope as a head of product حيختلف هنا الموضوع. You own the vision. طبعا نحن we always buy the narrative of a product manager. They will own the vision. They align stakeholders on the strategy. They work on the outcome. Guess what? That's wrong. كلام كتب بس، كلام فقط في كتاب inspired by Marty Kagan و empowered also by Marty Kagan, and has nothing to do with the reality of the industry. يعني تخيل انت عندك head of product they are owning the strategy، وعندك VP of product they are owning the strategy. The CEO also عنده الشير تبعه of owning the strategy. How would you fit into the game owning the strategy of what exactly as a product manager? The reality for you as a product manager, you either get the strategy designed for you, or you just influence the strategy by providing data and bringing insights من الماركت، لانك انت موسخ يديك اكرمكم الله وعزكم، موسخ يديك وتشتغل في الماركت وتتكلم مع اليوزرز وتفهم في السوق، and you're just empowering the head of product and empowering basically the leadership to quickly like understand the market and alter and fix and enhance the strategy accordingly. ولكن the reality as a product manager, it's not expected from you to be a strategic thinker. Yes, you will be a strategic thinker in terms of solutioning, in terms of coming up with a solution, but not a strategic thinker على level البرودكت بالكامل. So your focus as a head of product or as someone على level head of product is to يعني envision the future of the product. Where do you want to play against the competitors? What kind of areas you want to build? How are you going about that? You know, how do you prioritize internally and prioritize the opportunities? What kind of outcomes are we getting out of each product? How do the portfolio of components or portfolio of products orchestrate and synergize against each other? يعني أنا مثلا في Lumify I have portfolio of 5 products. So how مثلا product align does actually align with product boost? How boost does align with product, for example, analyze? And how each of those products مثلا outcome does actually lead us to the core North Star metric of the business. You get the idea? So as a product leader, your focus is to strategize. Your focus is to make sure that you have some sort of يعني goals و direction على level الشركة أكثر من إنه هو على level البيبي البرودكت. You get what I mean? طبعا كcompetencies كskills أكثر skill أو 70% of السكيل اللي أو 70% of the competency model for product managers is the execution excellence. All right, you want to focus on executing, you want to focus on building stuff quality, stuff of a quality, stuff that actually does solve a problem. You want to focus on discovery, uncovering problems على السولوشن اللي بنيتها, discovering or يعني validating which problem is the right problem to solve, which problem is the wrong problem to solve. Delivery, working with engineers, designers, analytics to uncover a success of your feature and your product, your small product. Prioritizing the problems of your product. We all know that theory. بس كبرودكت ليدر الكومبتنسيز شويه حتتحول البوصله هنا. تمام؟ يعني you will not be held accountable على الديسكفري. All right, because ideally you will empower your team to do the discovery. You'll not be held accountable على delivery, because خلاص your team are actually delivering the product. صح, their success is your success, obviously, and that's why you are hired, to manage people to succeed. But your focus is how can you influence other C-levels or other leaders on the strategy that we are building. Because again, رغم ان المقولة اللي انا حقولها هذه is actually يعني cringy, لكن the product managers are او the heads of product or product leaders are actually يعني mini CEOs, لان هم تشربوا الفيجن من السي او، تشربوا الاهداف الشركة, they contributed to the strategy as well, and now their goal is to influence people. كCEO you have the strategy, or you can think about the strategy, you just go to people and make it official and that this is the strategic direction of the company. But it's not the case for you as a product leader. شفتوا لما نحن كبرودكت مانجرز انه we do the influence على level priority of the features, we prioritize feature X because Y, Z, and because we have this evidence. That's the case معك انت كبرودكت leader بس على level strategy. And we need to hit that sort of market by building these X number of products, due to Y, Z, etc. reasons. All right. Now, are you with me? No? All right. Let's now do the trade-off together. يعني your focus is to influence people على الستراتيجي، على basically direction of the company أكثر من إنه أنت تنزل على level إنك أنت you influence them على what kind of features we want to work on. Other competency or another competency is the vision, building the vision of the company or building the vision of the product as well. طبعا في ديبيت كبير جدا حاصل في الاندستري الآن اللي هو إنه what's the difference between the vision of a product and vision of a company? What is the difference between product strategy and company strategy? And guess what? 90% of the times product strategy equates company strategy. إلا في حالات مثل for example HubSpot مثلا they have 5 different products. The products هذولا are related to each other, all right, or independent to each other. Or مثلا يعني it could be basically for companies like Atlassian. They have tons of products. They don't have Jira only, So company strategy might be different from product strategy. But if you're building a SaaS product, or if you're building a food delivery product, or if you're building a company that actually يعني rely only on one product as a core revenue stream, then the company strategy is the product strategy. That's why as a strategic leader, as a product leader, you're the second most important person في الشركة بعد الCEO, because the entire strategy is under you. فأنت you're هنا doing the link ما بين the strategy and the execution. عندنا آخر شيء عندنا basically اللي أو قبل الأخير talent development. So one of the core competencies for you as a product leader is you should know how you can develop your talent. You don't just sit and empower them and say يلا go do your work. No, you need to make sure إن أنت عندك chops of empowering الtalent, developing الtalent, making sure إن الtalent هذول يكونوا يعني basically successfully delivering actual outcome أكثر من إنهم they are just basically delivering features. طبعا كيف نقيس نجاح البرودكت مانجر أو كيف نقارن نجاح البرودكت مانجر والهيد اوف برودكت in terms of يعني time frame. success time frame لك انت كبرودكت مانجر عاده هو بيس على كوارترز، سبرنت او ريليسز. هل نجح الريليس هذا او ما نجحش؟ what is the outcome we got out of that sprint? what kind of basically مثلا يعني improvement في retention we got out of الكوارتر الماضي. بينما نجاحك او التايم هورايزن اللي انت تشتغل عليه كهيد اوف برودكت او كبرودكت ليدر عاده years او يعني جروث رود مابس طويله، يعني سنه، او يعني entire company direction. فالموضوع مختلف هنا. انت كبرودكت ليدر تلعب على اوقات طويله، على مسافات طويله، والبرودكت مانجر يلعب على chunks صغيره. فانت think about it like this: انت product leader, you have the long sort of like direction, and your product managers reporting to you are owning small steps to reach to point Y and to actually now يعني uncover ال success of yours. تمام. That's why the success of your product managers or the accumulative success of your product managers is your success. تمام. هنا طبعا one core difference between the PM and the leader level is the success criteria. All right. نحن الآن تكلمنا على time frame of success, but what kind of matrix? عادة البرودكت success على الفيتشر level نتكلم على engagement, retention, conversion في الفيتشر نفسها أو على الميني برودكت. بس كبرودكت head or كليدر الفوكس هنا يصير اكثر على البزنس سكسس. So you cannot go للسي او and tell CEO hey wallahi we want to increase the engagement, or hey we want to increase the conversion, they wouldn't care, because that's not the language they speak. The language they speak is revenue, ARR, market share, valuation, expenses وما إلى ذلك. So لما في transition from being a product to head of product, التشالنج اللي ممكن تلاحظه انه how can I change my terms from اللي هم tactical low level PM terms to strategic high level business terms. All right, that's one of the core things we need to make sure we nail. طبعا بالنسبه للcommunication artifacts or communication methods كPM عندك انت requirements, specs, PRDs, updates to stakeholders, insights للتيم على الفيتشر والسكسس اوف الفيتشر. بينما الcommunication when it comes to product leader هي more of like narrative story, literally telling stories, because you will have your team empower you with insights and you will do your research as well. So بتبني انت narrative of the company, narrative of the product, right? He will also focus على executive storytelling. طبعا executive storytelling عالم آخر وكبير آخر يعني that needs يعني a separate meeting, بس هو different from the kind of like casual يعني quick updates we do to our stakeholders. يعني when you communicate with an investor على مثلا level startup is way more different than communicating with head of engagement in your company or head of content in your company. All right. Also decision making في head of product أو في يعني of yours product leader is simply focus على judgment driven, so you cannot go to the CEO and say my CEO يعني I want to focus on now collecting data and doing proper research before we take decisions. They are expecting you to have the data already, to have the knowledge, to be already empowered by your PMs على طول, so you do decisions based على your quick judgments. All right, لأن أنت كproduct أو كlevel head of product, you're expected to be presenting your team, presenting your products and presenting your customers. All right, so you need to make sure that you have that sort of decision making. بس كproduct أنت more of like data informed operator. تبحث, تعمل your own validation, تعمل your own discovery, and you will take the decisions accordingly في السبيس المتاحة لك. تمام. بالنسبة للpeople skills, انت كبرودكت مانجر you're managing a squad, so you're managing a squad of 3 to 5 engineers, 1 designer, maybe 1 QA. بس كhead of product you're shaping the culture of the squads هذول, you're mentoring your PMs and you're scaling the teams and scaling the squads. طبعا again يعني واحد الاشياء اللي نحن وقعنا فيها او اخطاء اللي وقعنا فيها كPMs ان توقعنا ان we are just managing products and we are just يعني مشي نلعب بالريسورسز المعطاه لنا. تمام. بينما that's not the reality. لما تروح ل more of head positions, اول شيء تلاحظه ان people will treat you كhead of engineer or head of engineering or VP of engineering. So one of the core expectations منك ان how are we مثلا streamlining the process of development, how are we streamlining the executional flow in the company, how are we streamlining the communication with engineers, that's all يعني من ضمن الكور expectations لك. ف again the key هنا شباب اللي أنا I really need يعني to emphasis on adaptability في حياتك وفي الكارير تبعك product manager is the key, لأن the definition is different, the expectations also are different from company to another, so we want to make sure إن we are adaptable بحيث نحن ننسجم ونحقق الأهداف المطلوبة والexpectations من كل company ندخلها. alright. طيب ليش الانفلونس والفيجن والبيبل سكيلز do actually matter في مرحلتك انت كهيد اوف برودكت؟ اول شيء الليفرج تبعك انت كهيد اوف برودكت comes من وين؟ من انك انت you get the people to execute for you and not you executing on their behalf, because لو انت بتنزل على ليفل ان انت اللي بتكتب البي ار ديز وانت اللي بتاخذ السبرنت بلاننج وانت اللي بتتكلم مع الانجينيرز كده, you will not do your job as a head of product, unfortunately. all right, ف your goal, your basically يعني ultimate outcome is to know how to influence people to execute, all right, and not being the executor yourself. وbeing the executor yourself always in your career شيء مضر لك, by the way. And if you execute and you show that you're the best executor yourself, and which is طبعا almost the case with every product managers. I know طبعا product managers are like bad at execution, but I said يعني I assume most of you guys are good. But if you continue with being the best executor yourself, no one will look at you as a leader. No one will look at you as someone who can actually influence and change the direction and orchestrate people. All right. Two, basically, teams, they do crave clarity. All right. Meaning basically, your goal head of product to establish clear product vision. You connected with your strategy, and then تنزل بيه حتى لتحت to connect it with the daily tasks of people. تمام. When you connect it with the daily task of people, you create momentum of execution. All right. Or يعني basically some sort of motion, we call it, of execution. So that's why اللي هو الانفلونس والفيجن والleadership is super ultra important يعني to achieve as a product manager or as a head of product. طيب وين عادة البي امز يحصلوا او يتوقفوا or they get stuck in their career. ريفورج اكيد سمعتوا بها ريفورج كلكم. They created what they call product canyon or وادي البرودكت. تمام. البرودكت كانيون جميل جدا صراحه، اللي هو يقول لك ان عاده انت تبدا ك اي بي ام، وبعدين تنتقل ل بي ام برودكت مانجر، وبعدين تنتقل ل سينيور برودكت مانجر، بعدين بوم there is no growth in your career, you're just stuck. تمام. يا اما there is no مثلا يعني positions لها علاقه مثلا بالليدرشip or where you want to grow, or your company مثلا doesn't see you as a head of product, or you just didn't get an offer, you know, so you're just stuck في مرحله الترانزيشن هذه ما بين being a senior product manager و group product manager. alright. الترانزيشن هذا يعني think about this narrative. For every product manager there is or there are actually 5 engineers. All right. Now for every 5 product managers there is a head of product. Now for every 5 heads of product there is 1 group product manager. So الفانل ينقص ويقل the more you grow in your career. So الديماند على البي ام رولز اكثر من الديماند على السينيور بي ام، الديماند على السينيور بي امز اكثر من الديماند على الهيدز، الديماند على الهيدز اكثر من الديماند على الفي بيز، وهكذا. والموضوع هذا لما تيجي تقارنه بالانجينيرز اسوء، لان انت اوريدي في الانجينيرز عندك ديماند اعلى، ولما في ديماند اعلى اوريدي في ديماند لليدرز اعلى. تمام. فذاتس واي موست اوف ذا بي ام they get stuck ما بين الترانزيشن هذا اللي هو between senior PM to the group product manager. Now خلينا نحلل الريزونز اوف الستك هذا وليش يحصل الستك هذا. الريزونز هنا تنقسم الى تو كي ريزونز على حسب الهدف تبعك. في ناس يقول لك انا I love my company. تمام. Like me for now I love my company. and I just want to grow in my company. I want to مثلا reach to another level. أنا senior product manager. I want to be a head of product, or أنا head of product. I want to be a VP of product, or whatever. You know. So there is what we call اللي هو الانترنال تراب. alright. الانترنال تراب هذا او اللي هو اللي يحصل لك inside الاورجنايزيشن. تمام. كالتالي اللي مخليك انت you cannot move to being a head of product. مثلا one of the core reasons واهم الريزونز ان الليدرز ما فوقك او يعني الليدرز above you ما يشوفوكش كاستراتيجيك فويس. meaning basically you're just executing. يعني انت لو PM and your focus and your core focus is on basically writing BRDs, executing the BRDs هذولا, making sure that the execution is seamless ونطلع بأحسن ريليس بس you're not talking strategy, you're not talking outcomes, they just see an executor. مستحيل يتخلوا عليك ولا في البال إن هم يتخلوا عليك. تمام. لكن what they see and the perception عليك إنك أنت you're just a strong executor. 2. أحد المشاكل والترابس اللي البرودكت مانجرز يواجهوها هو اللي هم waiting for direction. Alright, let me wait for my CEO or for my stakeholders or for my head of product to just tell me exactly the next PRD I need to build. And by the way, I faced this 7 years ago in my career. You know, I was just sitting around and I was waiting for my head of product to assign me the next PRD so I can write the perfect PRD. I can align with the designers and I can build the best design. I critique their design 5 times and then I take it, break it down into user stories, and then I pass it to the engineers and I get it executed. And then basically I prepare a mixed panel dashboard and I call it a day. You know, that's wrong. That's not how you should do product management. All right. The way you should do product management انك انت you should be shaping the direction. حتى ولو it's out of your responsibility, you should challenge. Oh, Allah, my head of product asked me to do the X feature, or my CEO. Why? How? No, we should do that based on our vision. I think we should head that sort of direction, you know. So negotiate, be very much like strategic thinker, you know, strategic challenger. عشان انت, the way they see you as an executor, yes, and you're still an executor as a PM. But again, now they see that, yeah, you do have actually strategic voice. You're actually now, you do have like chops of thinking strategy and thinking business. Now you're a good candidate, or like a potential candidate for the head of product role. All right. 3. أحد أكبر المشاكل اللي also I faced before is just focusing on your squad. والله مثلا أنا شغال في شركة and I have 3 product squads or 4 product squads. I just focus on my squad. I wake up, I check my backlog, I check my problems. If I have idea books from stakeholders, or I have basically مثلا يعني feature requests from clients or from whatever, I just focus on my squad. You know, I don't care about the big picture. and هذه أحد الأشياء الغلط والسيئة لك وفي الكارير تبعك كبرودكت مانجر على المايكرو والماكرو سكيل. تمام؟ إن you're just focusing على basically a small portion of the big problem of the company, you know. Why would I actually hire you as a head of product if you don't understand the entire ins and outs of the business? يعني if you are مثلا in my company في Lumify and you're مثلا focusing على align part of the product or analyze part of the product which is your squad, and you don't know what's happening مثلا في البoost product or في performance product or whatever, why would I think of you as a head of product, you know, if you don't understand the big picture, if you cannot connect the dots, you know, if you're just focusing على small portion. Yes, the focus on a small portion could be good, you know, في بعض الcases in doing product management يعني day to day, بس ideally overall you should always focus على the wider org network. For again هنا basically one of the problems is that you're being basically the most reliable doer. يعني لو غاب مثلا my product manager, execution doesn't happen seamlessly. انت ممكن تشوف ان هالشيء هذا كويس، ان يا انا لما يعني اغيب من العمل and I don't do product or I'm يعني absent or whatever, you know, execution doesn't go well, you might see it as a good thing and تفرح you're adding value, and indeed you are adding value. بس انا I cannot ما اقدرش انا اتخلى عليك. يعني انا basically I will always think of you as someone who is gonna be executing seamlessly for me. I cannot يعني leave you, I cannot move you to a strategic role وانا ما عنديش اي احد to do the right execution for me. You get the idea? فالfocus of yours here should be basically empowering teams or empowering الناس الcross functional تحتك to actually deliver without you. All right? يعني you don't want to micromanage the execution always. You need to focus على الامباور. تتذكر لما حكينا في الهيد اوف برودكت you wanna, or في البارت where we talked about competencies, you wanna focus على empowering people. تمام؟ You can demonstrate that by empowering people او الكروس functional people تحتك. لما البرودكت ديزاينرز الانجينير empower them. All right? So I can trust you to empower the entire big portion audience of product managers. All right. Now let's talk about the external. An external trap, or how you present yourself. عادة I was hiring for a senior product manager role back in December 2024. Most of the CVs I got were product manager CVs, you know. Most of them, when you check the CVs, you check that they wrote stories, they wrote PRDs, they led the design, you know, they led the release, they collaborated with 3 engineers, 2 product designers, you know, to deliver feature X. The way they present themselves publicly, أنا أتكلم هنا في السي في في LinkedIn, إنهم more of like feature owner and not business driver. لما أنا بعين for a head of product, I need to hire for a business driver. I need someone who can actually drive the business forward, you know, someone who can actually basically take the business from point A to point B, you know, not someone who can just execute, and someone who can just basically build bunch of features. All right. الشيء الثاني اللي ممكن تلاحظه إن هم حتى publicly they just chase the title of being a head of product. تمام، من دون ما هم يبنوا ناراتيف على الليدرشيب. احيانا وجزء كبير او بورشن كبير من البي امز هذول دي ثينك ان the whole leadership readiness narrative هي عباره عن شيء يحصل لما انت بتتحول مثلا للسي بي او او سي او 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 like في بي ليفل etc. بس starting from the next level you get or the next individual contributor level you get, you need to make sure that you have very solid narrative of leadership. All right, when I read your resume, when I read your CV, when I see your public personal brand or how you actually position yourself, I can see a leader. I can see someone who was actually orchestrating teams, orchestrating products, etc. They do great work but stay invisible. No storytelling, no thought leadership, no track record of influence, and that's problem, by the way. يعني most, yeah, I met tons of senior PMs قابلتهم. They are more than ready to move to head of product roles, but they have zero public presence, you know. There is no stories. ما فيش أي يعني شيء يتكلم على الexpertise تبعهم. The way they present themselves are بطريقة إن هم they are just doers, they are just executors. alright. الشيء الرابع والأخير إن البيرسونال براند تبعهم اللي هو AKA how they hold themselves publicly doesn't differentiate them from other يعني senior PMs or product managers. يعني لما أنت مثلا تيجي تشوف اللينكدين بوست تبع you see them talking about again PRD, user research, working with engineers, الأشياء البيسك اللي we already talked about عليها في الاندستري من 5 و6 و7 سنين. Now it's time to you differentiate yourself to get يعني اللي هي next role اللي you want to go for. Cool. Now my tips, my personal tips on how you can win and how you can actually go for a leadership role اللي you want to go for inshallah, hopefully. I assume that most of you guys here يعني you want to go for this role. Firstly, you need to change your mindset in terms of talking internally. Instead of saying I ship features or أنا والله مثلا خلاص خلصنا الفيتشر X or خلصنا التاسك X2 أنا I drove outcome. الموضوع هنا يعني might be شوية abstract for you, بس again think about كل feature what kind of even small outcome, سواء كان proven outcome or outcome مش proven. يعني مثلا for example I deliver a feature for a potential client. الكلاينت هذا الديل تبعه في الفاينل ستيجز and الديل هذه مثلا سعرها $400,000. alright, you could say ان I مثلا we delivered feature to unblock a deal of مثلا 400k, something like that, you know, instead of مثلا saying in we draw 400k and you're not confident with the number you come up with. alright. Two, you need to get fluent with talking business. يعني you don't want to talk product tasks. You don't want to talk about basically user stories anymore. You want to talk business metrics. What is the organization strategy? What kind of financial trade-offs we have? مثلا for example أنت عندك feature سريعة, feature أقصد معقدة أو feature مثلا needs a lot of time. You can actually مثلا talk about the expenses per feature أو burn على level startup. How much do we pay على الفيتشرز هذولا, and how can we actually make sure that we win بالطريقة الأرخص لنا. So you want to nail موضوع النمبرز, الموضوع الفاينانشالز, alright, الموضوع البزنس ماتريكس بشكل عام. ثلاثة, وهنا طبعا ممكن يعني تحسوا شوية يعني internal barriers عليها, بس مهمة جدا, اللي هي إن I influence beyond my squad. So if you work in a startup فيها أكثر من يعني 2 or 3 product squads, make sure إنك أنت طالع من السكواد تبعك. Don't just focus على السكواد. Build alliance with strong ties مع الماركتينج, مع السيلز, مع الأوبس, مع الفاينانس. Make sure إن في يعني very very strong ties between each other. تمام. Again also بدل ما انك انت يعني you monitor the work of the engineers وال work of designers closely, empower them to do their work من دون وجودك انت. تمام, عشان that's gonna demonstrate يعني how you do product management, and it's gonna also demonstrate you being يعني a very very high potential يعني candidate for leadership. All right, now let's talk public. Public, you want to make sure in at least share frameworks, share case studies, wins, you know, demonstrate your organizational impact. عشان again when you're hunting for an external opportunity or new opportunity, people will always think about you again as a strong candidate for the role. Speak, write, mentor. أنا أسمي الشيء هذا يعني evangelizing I think or something like that. Product management, you know, meaning إن أنت تتشرب product management لدرجة إن everyone knows you for that. All right, and you don't just basically do product management from 9 to 5. Speak about it, go to webinars, go to conferences, write about product management, establish your blog, mentor junior product managers. All right, make sure that your thinking or how you do product management is visible, everyone knows it, everyone sees it, because that's what's going to bring you opportunities. Update طبعا again it could be this is something straightforward, but update LinkedIn portfolio والtone تبعك to match tone والlevel اللي انت you're going for. So if you're مثلا going for a VP, make sure that when you speak confidently. All right, you present yourself as a VP, you present yourself as a head of product, not just basically again simple product manager and you're just leading a squad. You want to always show an organizational sort of impact and strength and caliber. All right. آخر شيء, learn from heads of product, talk with heads of product, talks with VPs of product, always see how they do product management. You can go to ADB List, you can find tons of free mentors there. Talk with them. Again, كل شركة عملها how they demonstrate product management is different from other. So again, learn from as much of companies as possible. أنا من قبل بنيت framework بسيط جدا اللي هو أنا قلت the more problems you are exposed to, the more people you're exposed to, the more people you work with, the more projects you're engaged in, the better candidate I see you for any product role, or any product leadership role, because the exposure اللي حصل لك is actually large, and you know how to deal with different situations, you know how to deal with different problems. You're not just basically proficient في problem واحدة بس. تمام. And that's pretty much it. I think I'll go ahead and take a look على الquestions في الشات. All right. So Asma says, what is the difference between head of product and group product manager? I think Asma, هنا الموضوع اختلاف مسميات. طبعا again in some companies مثل ما قلنا في أو تاني slide, in some companies heads of product do actually equate group product managers. All right. ولكن الفكرة في الهيد او الجروب product managers are actually leading product managers and not leading product leaders. All right. So لما انا اجي اقول VP of product or اجي اقول CPO, they are leading actually another set of leaders. All right. So مثلا head of VP of product, they might be مثلا leading 5 heads of product, or they might be leading 5 group PMs. All right. مثلا لما اجي اشوف CPO, they are مثلا leading 2 or 3 VPs, مثلا VP of product, VP of design, VP of engineering for example. All right. بس لما اشوف انا مثلا group PM or head PM, head PM or group PM, they're actually leading a mix between product managers and senior product managers, as well as associate product managers. In some cases like Lumify, they are also leading designers as well. Right. Does that answer your question, Asma? Just type in the chat. All right. Asad says, when should a PM take SAFE certifications before working with an enterprise or after? And is it a must for leadership PM positions? It's not a must for leadership positions. As a matter of fact, ولا شهادة حتفيدك في product leadership positions. Personally, أنا عندي أكثر من 50 professional certification, including SAFE, PMI Agile, RMP, PMP, Scrum certifications, كلهم etc. سمي تغلط. And ولا واحدة فيهم فادتني ولا في in terms of working tactically ولا in terms of CV. تمام. So in my opinion, certifications will not help you with understanding, or will not help you with actually getting new product leadership positions. All right. ولكن SAFE certifications, if you are aiming at going to insurance companies and enterprises اللي هم they are not relying على البرودكت كcore revenue driver, meaning basically تكون organization with a lot of levels, with a lot of layers, with a lot of basically reporting lines, etc. I think SAFE will help you, لأن SAFE حتعلمك على how to design organizations. Specifically أنا أتكلم على شهادة SAFE POPM version 6. حتعلمك على understanding basically how you design enterprises and what to expect from an enterprise. Specifically هدول outdated enterprises such as الانشورنس, الأوتوموبيل والإيش اسمه هدول insurance automobile والهم non-technical and non-tech enterprises. All right. All right. Mohammed bin Noba says, as a product leader, how do you mentor junior PMs and provide guidance on the execution level without micromanaging or getting too involved in execution details? It can be a pluriline. Correct. It can be a pluriline. Pluriline. صراحة it's super hard. It's super complicated, specifically when you have strong ties with the product, specifically when you love to execute, specifically when when you're super obsessed about seeing the design, seeing basically your product being born, you know. So I think it's challenging صراحة. وكل head of product specifically يعني my previous managers had this issue of them يعني getting their hands dirty specifically على مرحلة ال PRD وعلى مرحلة الديزاينز وما إلى ذلك. But again, I think the first thing you should do in order to overcome that is by just engaging with the leaders and just working and doing your job. You know, your job is to be with the leaders. Your job is to align with them. Your job is to visualize the strategy. Your job is to drive the strategy, you know. So the more you get your hands with what actually matters for your role, the more you will be يعني detached شوية من the product you are building. تمام. Now when you're getting detached from the product you are building or your team is building, حتكون عندك وقت شوية إن you mentor your junior PMs, give them guidance, specifically monitor the matrix of execution such as sprint success, such as basically error rates والproduct matrix اللي موجودة عشان يعني you give them guidance and يعني directive sort of actions. All right. Asad says, some companies enforce non-disclosure agreements, so we can talk about your achievements in details the best way. Correct. كلامك صح. But if you know how to do proper branding, you can talk about your achievements without even حتى exposing the company details. All right. You can مثلا talk about the key metrics you had. You know, you can talk about the key initiatives that you built and how you aligned with the stakeholders to achieve a specific outcome. So you don't have to always give access to the product you built or screenshots of the product you built or talk about the nature of the feature. But always يعني you can talk about your achievements بطريقة يعني تخدم ال NDA بالشكل الصح. تمام. Mina says how to take more strategic in my role as a PM. If I don't know the clear strategy of the company, should I take the step and ask? طبعا احد الكور ثينكس، شكرا باي ذا واي على السؤال مينا، احد الاشياء اللي لازم انت تركز عليها كبرودكت مانجر if you want to transition to a head of product position is definitely asking questions. حتى ولو كان السؤال غبي، حتى ولو كان السؤال بسيط، ask questions, be curious, you know. Again, لأن الجول is to be the most educated person in the room down the road, you know. And you cannot be the most educated person down the road if you don't ask proper right and the right number or the right set of questions, you know. So مهم جدا 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 إن you always ask questions, you always basically be curious, you know. And one thing that you should do بعد ما أنت تسأل الأسئلة وأنت تسأل الأسئلة اللي محتاجتهم, sit back, do proper user research, do proper competitor analysis, talk with enough VP of product or heads of product شغالين في نفس الاندستري اللي انتم شغالين فيها, for example HR tech or wherever, you know, and then propose a strategy for the company. Be proactive, you know. أحد أفضل الأشياء اللي PM يعني can do is being proactive. Basically, what do I mean by being proactive? If it is not tasked from you, it's okay. You just go build it. If you have a free time, and كلنا دائما يعني or sometimes from time to time يكون عندنا وقت فارغ مثلا ساعة أو نصف ساعة في اليوم, you can just مثلا use الأوقات هذولا to actually مثلا build something on site for that company to help you stand out internally. We call this internal branding, you know. So مهم جدا يعني إن you take the initiative, ask, and then go ahead and build something yourself. You know, your company will thank you, and your company will always يعني see you as a big thing. Same person says, also as a senior product owner currently, but doing PM role, it's just a title. My next move should be a PM or a senior PM role. It doesn't matter. صراحة, it really doesn't matter. يعني, since you're doing product management, you can go to senior product management directly, you know. So it's a brand, it's branding, yeah, you know. And even in your CV, you can just change the title to senior product manager. It doesn't matter, you know, no one cares. Yes, they will call the company if they do verification and they ask. But يعني most of HR leaders, they think product ownership is similar to product management. So if you have product owner title, you can just claim it as, or you can just claim the product manager as a title and go ahead and apply to a senior PM role. All right. But I really suggest you go directly to senior PM role if you really, in your senior product owner role, did proper execution. You worked on proper, or you worked on huge set of products, not just like simple features, and you managed outcomes, outputs. So if you did that, go ahead, in my opinion, and go directly to senior PM role عشان انت بعدين تكون in 2 years or 3 years a ready candidate for head of product position. Lamia Mustafa says, do you think a head of products should grow from deep expertise in one specific industry, or is it more valuable to have broad experience across different types of products and markets? Now, مثل ما قلت في مرحلتك انت كassociate product manager or product manager or senior product manager, always make sure you grow deep expertise in different markets, different products. You should learn how to deal with different people. You should expose yourself to different set of يعني opportunities and problems. بعدين لما تصل لمرحلة leadership, head of product, DB of product, or CPO, my suggestion internally between yourself, yes, grow deep expertise in a specific industry, HR tech, financial or fintech, food tech, or whatever industry that be. All right. ولكن still make sure in terms of branding, in terms of your overall presence, you're open for any sort of role, because again, حكينا على النارrative هذا ان the more you grow, the more bigger and the more advanced your title is, the less opportunities out there. So you don't want to just limit yourself to a specific industry. ولكن make sure انك انت you always prioritize الindustry اللي انت فيها. تمام. So if you're on في الhead level, yes, grow deep expertise على الindustry اللي انت فيها, specifically if you like that industry. For me, I like HR tech, and grow there. All right, that's gonna give you a huge edge, specifically if there are opportunities في الindustry ديك. Cool. So Asad says, a head of product will interview me soon for a PM position, and he consider Marty Kagan as the godfather of product management. Burio, bro. والله الله يعينك إن شاء الله في الرول الجاية. What's your best advice for me to impress him? Okay, hello. So my advice is to just have a quick read or skim through the book Inspired by Marty Kagan and Empowered, and just always when you talk with him, just talk product discovery, product experimentation, empowering the team, product operations, and how you build the best ops framework for the product team and for this squad that you will be working at. Mention also stuff like basically A/B testing, just make sure that you don't mention MVP a lot, you don't mention roadmap a lot, because Marty Kagan hates roadmap and loves OKRs, so mention that. But again, if he thinks Marty Kagan is the godfather of product management, then you need to speak formal, right? You need to speak formal, and you need to make sure that you go with the book rather than going by actual experience, actual executional experience of our region. All right. Mohammed Binoba says, would love to know how you do performance reviews for PMs. Do you mainly evaluate them based on moving the matrix? Evaluating based on moving the matrix happens in companies اللي they are in the growth stage and they are mature enough to have defined matrix, defined set of responsibilities on each of the matrix, so that you can hold product managers accountable for each of the matrix. Now, here is a problem. Specifically in our industry, if you hold a PM accountable for a matrix or for a specific number or a specific KPI, they will end up not executing anything that is not related to the specific metric. So there is one very cool narrative I say to my company now, which is basically, what if you tell me, Shehab, get one of your product squads to just focus on retention. I'll tell them, all right, yeah, we can do that, and it's doable. We can just get one squad to focus on retention and to be obsessed about the problem of retention. But what if we have a deal, or we face a deal of, or with a value of مثلا 400K or 500K? Do you want me to still prioritize retention, or I should stop my resources and go directly to hunt that deal? You know, again, diamond, there is this narrative in the product industry where we say, yeah, we need to do proper prioritization based على الRISE framework and based على الكلام هذا كله, and we just want to use our frameworks, but that's not how product management works. You know, the way we work, we empower the business directly. So if the business is presenting me an opportunity على papers, and this opportunity في last deal stages will only deal blocker is مثلا a specific feature or a specific customization, and it's gonna bring ARR of مثلا نص مليون للcompany, why would I still مثلا يعني prioritize الأشياء اللي under RISE, or I prioritize the requests of stakeholders, or I prioritize the PRDs اللي أنا كتبتها واللي عملت لها scope واللي عملت لها design من قبل. I'll just go and hunt that feature, you know. So when I do the performance reviews, I want to make sure that my product managers, they do have that sort of flexibility. You get me? The flexibility of them actually hunting the opportunity الصح, hunting المشكلة الصح, تمام? عشان the business doesn't lose over bunch of يعني frameworks or bunch of methods تستخدم فيها الشركات المتشور والشركات الكبيره جدا في السيليكون فالي اللي هم عندهم unlimited resources. يعني الفريم ورك of OKRs for example, in which يعني most of the companies in Silicon Valley use to evaluate their PMs, they give a PM a specific key result. They tell the PM, yeah, you have this key result and your key result is to improve retention by 10%. Guess what? These companies, they do have 10, 15, 20 product managers. They do have under 20 product managers, or under each squad 10 or 15 engineers, you know. So when they say, yeah, fulan or your product manager fulan, you focus on retention, the product manager that can focus on retention entirely, and then the rest of the opportunities for the business can go to other squads. Or even احيانا البرودكت مانجر هناك يكون عنده 15 20 انجينير، وهالول الانجينيرز هذول هاي كاليبر متخرجين من ستانفورد. They know how to do quick coding and they release fast, and they have يعني very advanced robust technological infrastructure that they implement. They can focus on both the retention and hunting the opportunities. But in our region, if you focus on one thing, with the current caliber we have, specifically in terms of engineering, in terms of basically technology talent, you cannot focus on any other thing يعني than الشيء اللي انت ركزت عليه. So always we need to be يعني culturally aware on where we do the stuff, on where we apply the stuff. All right. But again يعني too long don't read يعني محمد بن I don't use the matrix to evaluate my PMs. I set bunch of goals, bunch of key results based on performance or actual performance of product manager مبنية على responsibilities of their JD, and I evaluate them accordingly. So you simply look at the last problems they solved and evaluate if they picked the right problems and solved the right way. Is that correct? That's correct, yes. It's more, I take more of like qualitative approach rather than quantitative approach. That's how I try to make product management يعني specifically in my company more humane. Beautiful. So it's 9 p.m. That's pretty much it. Ahmed, the floor is yours.
Thank you جدا جدا شهاب، يعني really insightful. و thank you لمنى ومحمد وأسعد وكل الناس اللي سألت أسئلة في الشات. We really appreciate your engagement يا شباب. Thank you so much. أعتقد احنا time's up unless في أي حد تاني عنده أي سؤال please let us know. طيب اوكي، نشكرك على وقتك تاني يا شباب. We really appreciate your time. وشكرا على الويبينار. For me as a senior PM it's really helpful. في كذا حاجة clicked you mentioned النهاردة، و actually you mentioned برضه لما اتكلمنا أنا وأنت مع بعض. Thank you so much for your time و good luck at Lumify و see you soon إن شاء الله بإذن الله.
Thank you so much. appreciate it. يعطيكم العافية جميعا، يومكم سعيد يا رب. مع السلامة.
إن شاء الله، مع السلامة. السلام عليكم.